coming back. Here are the world news headlines. The UK's first social media election? Ex-IMF head Ratto in corruption probe. Take a look at this video from the UK's Green Party that's been topping the unruly media viral video chart. It's a satire of the upcoming general election, but many say social media campaigns and videos like this could prove influential. The Labour Party's offering, featuring actor Martin Freeman, has also been in pole position. Here's what Sarah Wood from Unruly Media had to say.
People like video that's relatable. And this is one of the great things about social media. You have ordinary people talking to ordinary people, sharing their opinions. And I think the best videos are the ones where you have ordinary people saying extraordinary things.
According to Unruly Media, the best political ads create a strong emotional connection with the viewer.
Very curious that the most popular videos at the moment don't even feature the party political leaders. They don't feature the politicians. And this is an interesting conundrum for politicians. It's key that they're trusted, that they're believed, they seem to be authentic and genuine. And it's the same with videos. The videos that get shared are the ones where there is an authenticity and a naturalness.
Almost 2/3 of the British public has active social media accounts. Whether it is Twitter or Facebook, they're exposed to political content. And that's a persuasive factor for younger voters most especially. U.S. President Barack Obama's election in 2008 was driven by a strong social media campaign, and the Scottish Nationalist Party was quick to adopt many of the strategies during the recent election.
You can really see them on social, you see them using video very effectively. They have S&P studios, so they're crowdsourcing a lot of their content and encouraging their supporters to create photos, create videos, create graphics, upload those to the portal, and then the best ones are getting shared.
Leaders of the future are going to need to be advanced with an evolving digital age, able to reach the public on multiple platforms. For now, though, the challenge they face is how to lure in the floating voters and the uninvolved, and convert online views and debate into actual votes at the polls. This is an apartment block in Madrid, home to former IMF chief Rodrigo Ratto. Moments after police enter, they appear with the 66-year-old suspected of fraud and money laundering. This was Spain. But the news was of particular interest to Argentina President Cristina Fernandez. She shared how Ratto had criticized the country's economy when he was head of the IMF between the years 2004 and 2007. This is what she had to say.
Detained for laundering money. That's who used to come and tell us how we had to direct and manage our economy. Moreover, it was they who even dared to talk about corruption in Argentine politics.
Ratto was also former Spanish Prime Minister Aznar's deputy in the center-right Popular Party before becoming suspected in 2 other judicial cases. He supposedly used the company for credit cards for personal benefit during chairman of Bankia Bank, and separately over whether the bank's stock market flotation in 2011 was flawed. Ratto denies wrongdoing in both cases. This is what ICMC market analyst Michael Hewson has to say.
The IMF have been through crises like these before, notably with Dominic Strauss-Kahn having to resign a few years ago. And to be quite honest, the fund's credibility isn't that great in any case, given the fact that, it's missed pretty much all its targets with respect to its predictions on what's been going on in Greece. So I think it's much more of a political problem for Mr. Rajoy than a problem for the IMF.
Ratto was later released after cooperating with the authorities, but his arrest doesn't go unnoticed. Corruption is among Spanish voters' top concerns. And with the general election at the end of the year, Prime Minister Rajoy's political party is expected to lose votes over its connections with the party's disgraced former deputy. It began as a dream come true. But for Olga and her family, owning their home has recently become a nightmare. Although they live in Russia, their mortgage is in dollars, and they can no longer afford the repayments. This is Olga Pansinkaya. The mortgage holder expressed, "Both my husband and I work, our salary is paid to us regularly, but one should remember that the rate of the ruble collapsed 2.5 times. Even in the most fantastic scenarios, our profit will not increase by 2.5 times," she said. Foreign currency mortgages used to be attractive, with banks offering lower interest rates compared to ruble-based loans. But a fall in oil prices and crippling sanctions have sent the ruble into a nosedive, effectively doubling the debt for people like Olga, who now faces a threat of foreclosure. Dmitry and his wife have been forced to abandon their plans to have children, working more instead. They say the bank told them they could convert their mortgage into rubles after a year, but without any written proof, their appeals go unanswered.
It started happening after the new year. It does not respond to our letters. If it announces something, it only does it verbally, so it is impossible to prove anything, not even in court if we decide to go there.
Many are also blaming the government for not doing more to help, even risking arrest at this unsanctioned protest in Moscow's Red Square. The central bank has advised lenders to convert all foreign currency mortgages using a fixed exchange rate. But the banks are taking their time. Audrey Matsev, deputy chairman of the management board of Nordea Bank, says the one-size-fits-all approach would cost them too.
If we fix the rate at 39, which the central bank suggests, we realise that it would mean a loss of around 2.5 billion rubles, just pure loss. Of course, such a loss can only be at someone's expense. We can't take a loss of this amount upon ourselves.
The banks say they are trying to find a solution that would work for both parties, including a temporary delay on payments. But for families like Olga's, it may just be a little too late. Thousands of Jewish people from all over the world take part in the march from Auschwitz concentration camp to Birkenau. The 3-kilometer walk remembers the millions killed by Nazis during the Holocaust in World War II. 1.5 million people, most of them Jews, perished in this infamous camp, either in the gas chambers or from starvation and forced labor. Some of its survivors revisited the site. Here's what Hungarian Holocaust survivor based in Canada, Teddy Bolgar, expressed.
I thought maybe the world learned something. I was disappointed they didn't. Genocide, wars continued, so I became very pessimistic, and when I talk to younger groups, I tell them maybe when it will be your turn around this world, you'll know how to learn in peace.
The first March of the Living was held in 1988, and this one marks 70 years since the end of the Second World War. Italian police said they have arrested 17 suspected human traffickers off the coast of the Sicilian port of Pozzallo since the start of 2015. Specialized police teams were filmed leaving Pozzallo on Wednesday to meet up with a Coast Guard vessel out at sea that had rescued some 300 migrants. The man steering the migrant boat had been identified by passengers and the Coast Guard officials as the migrant vessel was intercepted. The boat was carrying men, women, and children from Syria and Eritrea. The suspected human trafficker was identified as a Tunisian national and escorted back to port, where he was held in custody. Police say the numbers of arrests so far in 2015 are already above those of 2014, when 200 people were arrested under suspicion of human trafficking. Around 13,000 migrants have been rescued at sea in the last week. For the most part, GPS works great. It gives people the ability to get from point A to point B with a simple press of a button on a smartphone. The days of using a regular map and asking for directions are almost over. Of course, that's until you hit a big city, when tall buildings get in the way of satellite signals. Of course, this is unfortunate to companies like Uber and Yelp that depends on accurate navigation. Pete Tenerello of California startup PathSense has this to say. GPS sucks. First off, it sucks in accuracy, especially in major metro areas where these transportation apps and delivery apps are thriving. And you know, satellite signals bounce all over the place. GPS literally sucks. As in, it quickly drains the battery life of a phone as its processors work overtime to triangulate real-time satellite data. Tenerello and his team have developed a technology that he says addresses both of these issues. Instead of using satellites, PathSense has written code that turns your phone into a navigation device similar to what's found on a submarine. He had this to say. We are usually inertial navigation, so we are using things like the gyro, magnetometer, and the accelerometer, and other sensors. And these are things that are able to run even when the CPU on the phone is not on. And without the CPU running, the phone uses 90% less battery than GPS. Ironically, thanks to satellite data, an accurate map of planet Earth now exists. PathSense uses those maps and uses the phone sensors to take the satellites out of the equation. So we know a map of San Francisco or a map of Arizona or Abu Dhabi. We can know a map of the inside of a Walmart. And that is how we combine the sensor data with the things that we know about the world. And we can continually correct. There are more than 500,000 apps that utilize location services between Apple and Android, a potentially huge market for the startup. Tenerello is confident in his ability in his company and is heading in the right direction. Driving NASA's modular robotic vehicle appears like an out-of-this-world experience. And the space agency says this might just one day be a possibility. The two-seat space buggy is a prototype, but a future version could be used on the moon or Mars. The electric vehicle, MRV for short, has 4 independent wheel modules called E-corners, which rotate 180 degrees. A driver utilizes control inputs converted to electrical signals and transmitted by wires to its motors. When not being driven remotely, steering wheel's turns are recorded by sensors and sent to computers at the vehicle's rear, which command the wheel's motors. If the steering motor fails, a backup computer system takes over. Though designed with future space missions in mind, NASA says it's well suited for busy urban environments as well, with a top speed of about 45 miles per hour. Thank you for watching VBS TV Business News Edition. We hope our program has been helpful to you. The following are the weather and New York Stock Exchange reports. Until tomorrow, this is Robin Springer signing off. Bye-bye.